The rusted iron gates screeched in protest as we pushed them open, the sound echoing through the overgrown field like a scream. Me, Sarah, Matt, and Ben, our little crew of amateur ghost hunters, stood before the imposing silhouette of the abandoned Thornton Warehouse. We'd heard whispers about the place for years, stories of a disgruntled worker who went mad and killed his colleagues, of restless spirits trapped within its decaying walls. Today, armed with our cameras and a healthy dose of skepticism, we were here to see for ourselves. The warehouse loomed like a skeletal giant against the fading light. Weeds clawed at the cracked concrete exterior, and broken windows gaped like empty sockets. A cold wind whipped around us, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and decay. As I adjusted the camera strap on my shoulder, a shiver ran down my spine, not entirely from the wind. "Ready, team?" Sarah, ever the fearless one, pumped her fist. Matt, ever the skeptic, mumbled something about wasting his Saturday night. Ben, our resident techie, fiddled with his recording equipment, a nervous frown etched on his face. We pushed open the heavy wooden door, its hinges groaning like tortured souls. Inside, darkness swallowed us. The air hung thick and stale, heavy with the dust of forgotten years. Sarah switched on her powerful flashlight, the beam cutting through the gloom to reveal a vast, cavernous space. Cobwebs draped from the high ceiling like ghostly shrouds, and towering shelves stood skeletal against the far wall. The silence was heavy, broken only by the rhythmic squeak of our sneakers on the dusty floor. As we ventured deeper, an unsettling feeling began to creep over me. The air grew colder, and shadows seemed to writhe and dance in the periphery of my vision. The first sign of something unusual came in the form of disembodied whispers. Faint at first, barely audible over the creaking floorboards, they seemed to emanate from all around us. The whispers grew bolder, weaving a chilling symphony of unintelligible voices. "Guys, did you hear that?" My voice came out in a choked whisper. Sarah and Matt exchanged nervous glances. "Probably just the wind," Matt offered unconvincingly. We continued our exploration, the whispers growing more insistent with every step. Then came the footsteps. They were heavy, methodical, and followed a pace that mirrored our own. Each creak on the floorboards sent a jolt of fear through me. We stopped, straining our ears. The footsteps stopped too, just out of sight. Panic began to gnaw at the edges of my bravado. We huddled together, our flashlights painting nervous circles in the darkness. "We should get out of here," Ben whispered, his voice tight. Just as I opened my mouth to agree, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. It was Sarah. We spun around, searching the darkness with frantic eyes. The beam of Sarah's flashlight lay abandoned on the floor, illuminating nothing but dust motes dancing in its light. Sarah was gone. Terror clawed at my throat. "Sarah." My voice echoed through the cavernous space, unanswered. Panic surged through us, and we bolted, adrenaline pushing our legs to their limits. The heavy footfalls pounded behind us, gaining ground. We burst through the main door, collapsing onto the overgrown grass in a gasping heap. Sweat stung my eyes, my heart hammered against my ribs like a frantic bird trapped in a cage. We scrambled to our feet, searching for Sarah. That's when we saw it. Lying near the entrance, half hidden by a clump of weeds, was Matt's discarded camera. Dread filled me like a cold, suffocating fog. Matt was gone too. Ben and I stared at each other, united by a chilling realization. We were no longer four, just two, and the feeling of being watched only intensified. We didn't hesitate anymore. We turned and ran, not daring to look back. We ran until our lungs burned and our legs screamed in protest. Finally, we stumbled onto the deserted highway, collapsing at the side of the road, our bodies racked with sobs. We were picked up by a passing truck driver, our frantic story met with skepticism. But the look on his face when we showed him the abandoned camera, containing chilling footage of Sarah's last terrified moments, the darkness rushing towards her in an unseen wave, wiped that skepticism clean. The police investigation yielded nothing. The warehouse remained untouched, a silent, brooding menace at the edge of town. Ben and I never returned, the memory of that night forever imprinted on our minds. We learned a harsh lesson that day. Some things are best left undisturbed, some whispers better left unheard.